Imagine this. You're 35 years old. You've been married for 8 years, sitting in your car in the driveway after another 12-hour workday, and you can't bring yourself to go inside. Your wife hasn't touched you in months. Your kids barely notice you exist. Every conversation turns into an argument over something meaningless. You work relentlessly to provide for your family, yet somehow you feel like an outsider in your own home. You start wondering, how did I end up here? You thought marriage would bring happiness. You thought this was what success looked like. But what if I told you this isn't an exception, it's the rule? What if I told you that modern marriage has been engineered to drain men's joy, deplete their resources, and strip away their authority? And what if the smartest thing a man can do in today's world is never get married at all? Today, we're going to face an uncomfortable truth: why marriage has become a losing deal for men in the 21st century. You'll see how society turned marriage from a partnership into a prison, and why the men who refuse to sign up for it might actually be the wisest of all. This won't be pleasant to hear, especially if you're married or planning to be. But if you care about your happiness, your money, and your peace of mind, you need to understand what's really happening. The men who ignore this reality often end up divorced, broke, and emotionally wrecked. The ones who understand it keep their freedom, their wealth, and their sanity. So pay attention, because what you're about to learn might save you from the biggest mistake of your life. Let's start with the core issue. Modern marriage turns men into overworked drones. That's not exaggeration, it's reality for most husbands today. Here's the formula. You wake up at 6, work 8 to 10 hours, come home exhausted, and immediately switch into domestic helper mode. You're expected to clean, cook, help with homework, fix things around the house, all while getting zero appreciation, zero rest, and zero authority in your own home. You've become an employee in a house you paid for. 2 full-time jobs, no benefits. It wasn't always like this. Marriage once meant partnership. Both sides brought value. The man provided protection and resources. The woman provided care and domestic support. Both roles mattered. Now, the man's role doubled while the woman's vanished. You're still expected to be the main provider, but also a co-parent, emotional therapist, and co-housekeeper. Meanwhile, your wife can chase her career, passions, and independence with no obligation to support you in return. No wonder so many men feel drained, unappreciated, and resentful. They're not weak. They've just been tricked into accepting an unequal deal. Here's something society doesn't like to admit. Men need respect the way they need air. It's not ego. It's biology. When a man loses respect, he begins to crumble, emotionally, mentally, even physically. That's why men chase success, status, and achievement, not for greed, but for dignity. Yet the very institution meant to give men respect, marriage, has become the place where they get the least. Their opinions are dismissed, their authority constantly undermined. They're treated like children, not partners. Think of it this way. A man works 60 hours a week to buy his family a good home. He suggests being cautious with a big purchase. His wife rolls her eyes and says he doesn't understand the family's needs. His effort, experience, and judgment mean nothing. This dynamic is so common it's invisible. But imagine doing that to your boss or a client. You'd be fired instantly. Because in every other relationship, respect is required, except, apparently, in marriage. Modern culture glorifies standing up to your husband, making your own decisions, not letting him control you, all of which really means disrespect him whenever you please.
We're living through what can only be called the authority elimination project, a cultural campaign to erase male authority from the home. TV shows and movies push the same message over and over. The dad's a clueless idiot. The mom's the competent hero cleaning up his mess. It's so normalized, no one questions it anymore. The result?
Men are portrayed as too stupid or selfish to lead, while women are told they must make every decision, from finances to parenting. But real authority isn't about control, it's about responsibility. And when you take away a man's authority, you strip him of responsibility too. He becomes a passenger in his own life, held accountable for results he's not allowed to influence. He's told to be the head of the household, but only a name. So he's blamed for everything that goes wrong, even though he can't make the decisions that could fix it. It's like being made CEO of a company where you're forbidden to manage. Logically, marriage today offers men little reward and massive risk. Let's look at the math. Companionship? You can get that without marriage. Regular sex? Statistically drops after marriage. Kids? Possible without a legal contract. Social approval? Lasts 5 minutes. Risks? Half your assets gone in divorce. Alimony for years. Lost authority. More stress, less freedom. From a rational standpoint, no man would sign that deal. You give up your autonomy, your peace, and possibly half your wealth for benefits that barely exist anymore. That's why educated, successful men are walking away, not out of fear, but intelligence. They see the trap. And the cruelest irony? Even intimacy, the one thing that once kept marriage alive, is vanishing. Up to 40% of marriages are now sexless, less than 10 times a year. Imagine that. You give up every other woman for one, and she stops desiring you entirely. It's not just physical rejection, it's emotional. It tells a man you're no longer attractive or worthy. And he's not even allowed to seek connection elsewhere. He's trapped, starved for affection in a relationship that no longer feeds him. Many men try to fix it through therapy, communication, effort. But it rarely helps because the root problem isn't lack of love, it's lack of incentive. When a woman feels fully secure, financially and emotionally, with no risk of losing the man, the motivation to maintain attraction fades. Why put in effort when she already has everything she wants? The most dangerous part is how deeply society has normalized this. From childhood, boys are taught that masculinity is toxic, leadership is oppressive, and their desire for respect is shameful. Media reinforces it. Strong men are villains. Assertive men are controlling. Even the legal system sides against them. In divorce, custody, and domestic disputes, men grow up apologizing for existing. They learn to accept disrespect as normal, to feel guilty for wanting appreciation. A generation of men has been psychologically neutered, told that wanting dignity makes them dangerous. And that's where the true damage begins. Constant disrespect doesn't just hurt, it breaks men down. It leads to depression, addiction, even suicide. When a man's constantly dismissed and belittled, his brain starts to shut down. He loses motivation, energy, purpose. He doubts his worth until he becomes a hollow version of himself. It's emotional abuse, but society celebrates it. Women are told that belittling their husbands is empowerment, that men who want respect are fragile. But disrespect is psychological poison. It destroys relationships and drives men to despair. So men react in predictable ways. Some fight, demanding respect and being labeled abusers. Some flee, leaving everything behind and being called cowards. Most freeze, shutting down emotionally, living quietly miserable lives. And no matter what they do, they're blamed for the outcome. The truth? Making a man happy in marriage isn't complicated. It doesn't require money, therapy, or endless compromise. It just requires one thing: basic respect and appreciation. A marriage can change almost overnight with small, deliberate habits, asking for your husband's input before big choices, thanking him for what he does, speaking about him respectfully in public, recognizing his contributions at home, and showing genuine affection and desire. None of this is radical. It's basic courtesy. Yet it's become uncommon enough that when it shows up, many men feel stunned and deeply grateful. Why isn't this simple reset more common? Because it requires acknowledging a man's value and extending consistent respect. Contemporary messaging often frames respect for a husband as submission, discouraging any recognition of his authority, leadership, or contribution. So instead of using straightforward fixes that would make both partners happier, the culture drifts toward a model that leaves many men miserable, alienated from marriage, and families worse off. Consider a stark contrast, many men report. They feel more seen and appreciated by strangers than at home, from service staff to, yes, even entertainers whose job is to be warm and attentive. The point isn't the comparison, it's the effect. A man can pay someone and immediately receive smiles, thanks, and positive attention, while at home he may encounter criticism, dismissal, or indifference. The outsider doesn't love him, but understands that respect is the price of any functional interaction. The spouse may profess love, yet treat his commitment as entitlement. That gap between the respect offered by strangers and the disregard felt at home reveals a deeper problem. The incentives inside many marriages no longer encourage partners to actively treat each other well, and men often feel trapped with no real alternatives. The psychological toll of chronic disrespect is large and widely ignored. Rates of despair among middle-aged men have climbed, and relationship breakdown is a major driver. Strip a man of purpose, authority, and a sense of value, and you create a breeding ground for depression, anxiety, and suicidal thinking. Men who once felt competent and confident can fade into people who question their worth and their place in the world. This pain is often hidden because men are discouraged from seeking help, expected to man up, and simultaneously deprived of many traditional anchors of identity. The result? Silent suffering, self-medication, and self-destructive coping. That isn't weakness. It's what happens when a system grinds down the human beings inside it. Beyond psychology, the financial exposure can be severe. In divorce, men commonly face the loss of a large share of marital assets, long-term support obligations, and the cost of maintaining two households. Many end up downsizing into small apartments while continuing to fund a family home they can't live in. Careers take hits from the stress and time demands of litigation. Some never fully recover financially, spending years servicing the aftermath of a failed marriage. Judged purely as a financial decision, the risk profile alone makes marriage a poor bet for many men. When combined with emotional and legal risks, it can look irrational. Children add another layer. Plenty of fathers pay support and fight to stay engaged, yet find themselves marginalized from key decisions. Primary custody often goes to mothers, which can leave fathers as occasional visitors in their kids' lives, while still carrying major financial responsibilities. This dynamic can incentivize the initiation of divorce and provides leverage in conflict by limiting access to children. For many men, the loss of daily contact is devastating. They must watch from a distance and hope their influence is enough. Social pressure worsens the trap. If a man marries and it ends badly, he's blamed for failing as a husband. If he doesn't marry, he's called immature or afraid of commitment. That pressure pushes men into unions they may not want or that aren't a good fit,
predictably creating unhappy outcomes. Many men would be healthier and more productive remaining single, free to focus on work, interests, and personal growth than grinding through chronic conflict. Men who stay single often point to clear advantages: full control of their time and energy, freedom to pursue long-term goals, the ability to relocate or take risks, and protection of their assets. They can choose to date on their own terms, build meaningful connections, and enjoy intimacy without signing a contract that outsources their future to a court. For many, that trade-off leads to greater peace of mind. There's also a biological argument some men make, that lifelong monogamy, as defined in modern terms, often clashes with male mating drives. Historically, high-status men frequently had multiple partners. When a modern arrangement requires lifelong exclusivity, even as attraction and effort decline, internal conflict can grow, fueling resentment, infidelity, or quiet misery. Men who acknowledge these pressures and design their romantic lives accordingly often report they're more honest with themselves and, paradoxically, less likely to deceive partners.
From an economic standpoint, marriage can be a poor investment. Negative expected returns, high tail risk, and massive opportunity cost. Money poured into weddings, bigger homes, and eventual legal battles could have gone into assets, skills, businesses, and health. Time spent managing chronic marital dysfunction could have built durable value. It's no coincidence that many highly successful men either never married or married later, after they'd already established themselves and could negotiate terms that protected their interests. A further cultural shift complicates things. Many women today are encouraged to prioritize career, independence, and personal fulfillment above domestic partnership. That message isn't inherently wrong, but it does mean fewer people are prepared for the daily skills and mutual service mindset long marriages demand. When both partners are optimized for individual goals, the relationship can become a battleground for resources rather than a cooperative enterprise. The small subset of partners who still practice mutual respect, gratitude, and long-term thinking tend to form stable, thriving marriages. They are simply rarer in a culture that prizes autonomy over interdependence. Put all of this together, the psychological costs, financial risks, legal realities, cultural incentives, and the erosion of day-to-day respect, and a clear conclusion emerges for many men. In its current form, marriage is a bad deal. Avoiding it doesn't mean avoiding love, connection, or family life. It means refusing to sign a contract that can be used to strip away freedom, wealth, and peace of mind. Men who grasp this and act accordingly often find themselves freer to pursue purpose, invest in their future, and sleep better knowing they cannot be trapped in a situation that steadily destroys them. The decision is personal. You can buy the fairy tale being sold, or you can measure the realities, protect your interests, and build a life that keeps you sane, solvent, and respected. Choose with clear eyes.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe, there's lots more to come.